It is 2:05 in the afternoon on April the 26th, 1942. At Benxihu Colliery, the ventilation fans shudder with a metallic groan and spin back to life. They have been still since 11:30 that morning. 2,000 miners wait below in the still air. Then flames burst from the shaft entrance at the surface. This is the disaster tape, the world's deadliest coal mine disaster, hidden for 4 years. If you're finding this worth watching, a like genuinely helps. It's how more people end up seeing it. By then, the colliery answered to a single master, Japan's war machine. Benxi iron carried unusually low phosphorus, exactly what artillery shells required. The extraction blueprint belonged to Baron Kichibe Okura, founder of the Okura Zaibatsu. He had grown rich arming Japan and secured the development rights back in 1905. His template outlasted him by decades. Quotas, not lives, governed the men below. At 11:30 that morning, the transformer failed. Management had more than 2 hours to bring the men up. No one did. Japanese authorities announced 34 dead. The real number was nowhere near 34. It stayed buried for 4 years. The mine was already old when those men went down. It opened in 1905, a joint Chinese and Japanese venture. Baron Kichibe Okura secured the rights to its iron and steel. His Okura Zaibatsu had grown rich supplying Japan's wars. When Japan seized Manchuria in 1932, the mine passed into state hands. Its coal and iron were now stamped for the military. The iron here was unusually clean, low in phosphorus and sulfur. That made it perfect for one thing: bullets and shells. A 1936 development plan pushed targets higher and drove more men underground. After Japan entered the Pacific War in late 1941, this coal became a military priority. The men who dug it were not free. The Benxi municipal annals record that many were Chinese soldiers, captured and forced underground. They worked 12-hour shifts, beaten with pick handles behind a guarded fence. No labor rights, no safety inspectors, no right to say no. Sunday, the 26th of April, 1942, before dawn, around 2,000 men climbed down into the connected galleries. Counting the surface, around 4,500 people were there. Most of their Japanese managers were not even on site. The air that kept all 2,000 alive ran from a single machine. At 11:30 that morning, that single machine failed. Every ventilation fan in the complex stopped at the same moment. Underground, methane began to gather in the still, dark galleries. Coal dust hung in the dead air, fine as flour. Management had a simple choice, and more than 2 hours to make it. They ordered the men to remain at their posts. No evacuation was called. The colliery answered to the Manchuria Heavy Industries Developing Company. Its coal was a wartime priority, and the shift would not be stopped. No independent safety inspector ever walked those galleries. An evacuation cost nothing, no equipment, no risk, no delay worth the danger. All 2,000 men were still alive, still reachable below. A single order would have ended their shift early. It was never given. For more than 2 hours, they waited in air that was slowly turning to poison. At 2:05, the order finally came: restore the power. The fans began to turn, and in the dark, the methane was waiting for a spark. At 2:05 in the afternoon, the power came back on. The whole complex drew its air through a single transformer. The fans had been silent for 2.5 hours. Now they turned over again and the spark found the gas. Accumulated methane and suspended coal dust caught fire in a single instant. The blast tore through the connected gallery system, gallery to gallery, deep below the surface. It climbed the shaft and reached open air in seconds. Flames shot from the shaft entrance. It was the first sign above ground that something catastrophic had happened in the dark. The eruption confirmed what the morning's decision had already made certain. Roughly 2,000 men had been underground when the fans died. Among them were Chinese men captured from local military units, forced into the coal under armed guard. Some were killed outright by the explosion, many were not. Survivors of the first blast were still alive in the galleries. They could not climb out on their own. The perimeter was fenced and guarded, and the shaft was the only way up. Then mine management made a second choice. Records described the Japanese shutting off the air and sealing the pit head. With survivors still below, they were trying to starve the fire of oxygen, but the men still breathing below needed that same air. The survivors of the explosion were sealed in to die. By the time the pit was opened again, 1,549 men were dead. More than a packed school assembly. Most had survived the blast itself. They died in the sealed dark, poisoned by carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide, the invisible gas any fire makes, had no way out of the sealed mine. Above ground, the families came running to the shaft. Japanese guards turned them back at an electric fence. No one told them anything at all. Post-war accounts record that Japanese authorities at first reported just 34 dead, a number small enough to manage, small enough to quietly bury. But the post-war records confirm 1,549. More than a packed school assembly, all gone on a single Sunday afternoon. The notice had hidden more than 44 of every 45 who died. 4 years would pass before the true number was spoken aloud. And still the munitions kept moving. Above the sealed pit, the families came to the fence. Mothers and wives rushed to the shaft, calling for their men. Japanese guards turned every one of them away. Survivor accounts at the Colliery's Memorial Museum say the guards raised electric fences. Those fences were put up to keep the families out. The recovered bodies were carried to a mass grave near the mine. Many were burned beyond knowing, and no family was ever notified. No information was given. The mine kept working. Under the occupation, the dead were a state matter, counted or uncounted as the rulers chose. The true toll stayed buried for 4 years. For all that time, the families had no official word their men had even died. Children grew up, never told whether their fathers were dead or merely gone. Then Japan was defeated, and the silence broke. A Chinese historian named Shang Baode, a post-war collector of survivor testimony, began to listen. He gathered the oral histories of survivors and grieving families. He preserved the testimony that wartime censorship had worked to erase. Through that record, the truth of the pit finally surfaced, but a record is not a verdict, and no court had yet spoken. Accountability came as paperwork, never as a sentence. Post-war records confirm the transformer failed at 11:30 that morning. Management had more than 2 hours to bring all 2,000 men back up. No evacuation was ordered. An inquiry later recorded the failure, but it brought no charges. No Japanese official was prosecuted for keeping those men underground. In August 1945, Japan surrendered, and the men who ran the mine withdrew. Not one manager, not one director was ever tried for these deaths. Not $1 of compensation reached the families of the dead. More than 80 years on, no court or settlement has followed. Baron Kichibe Okura, the Japanese tycoon who owned the mine, his fortune was never touched. His wealth had grown supplying Japan's army in an earlier war. For 4 years, the families had no official word their men had died. Post-war accounts record that wartime newspapers had reduced the deaths to as few as 40 words. The official figure of 34 dead persisted in some records for decades. What stood against it was one man's memory. Shang Baode, a Chinese historian who spent years tracking survivors, gathered their oral histories. His pages became the closest thing to a verdict these men would ever get. Today, the Benxihu Memorial stands above the old shaft. The names are carved into stone, no verdict beside any of them. The mine baron Kichibe Okura, opened in 1905, outlived every man it killed in 1942. Japanese authorities counted 34. The stone counts 1,549. The shaft that threw flame that Sunday afternoon is silent now. No one was ever charged. These are the disaster tapes. The dead don't get a voice. We try to give them one. If that's worth something to you, subscribe. A new tape every 2 days.